alayhi wa sallam. You open to say, I witness nothing is worthy of worship except Allah is going along with our partners and associates. And I also give open to say, I witness the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is a slave, servant, messenger, and seal the Prophet. Peace be upon the Prophet, upon his descendants, upon his companions, and upon the righteous throughout the world. And peace be unto you. As-salam alaykum. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen, with all the praise due to Allah. Highly glorified to see. We thank Allah much for blessing us once again to unite for Salat al-Jumu'ah, by which we come to seek His aid, to beg for His mercy, and to ask for His forgiveness. We're always humbled by the opportunity that we have this opportunity to be in the Jumu'ah. If you understand what the Jumu'ah is, the Jumu'ah itself is a blessing. So we're thankful to Allah for this opportunity to be in Jumu'ah. You know, I just had a few thoughts, and one of the thoughts is, Allah says of Muhammad the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he is the Bashir. He is the good news bringer. And it's so important for us when you understand the world and the making of the world, and you look at how society is shaped and the machinery called television, or more importantly, or more specifically, the part of television about news. And that news is not always good news, and sometimes that news can become depressing. If you turn on the television, I watch the news for various reasons, but when you turn on the television, if you're not aware, you can become very depressed. The killings, the rapes, you know, the murders, the injustice, the brutality, the injustice, the crime, the rape. If you condition yourself with this every single day, it doesn't create a good state. And everything about the believer is about creating a good state. In fact, Allah tells us Muhammad, he's the one who brings the good information that will inspire, so that you can begin to go into the world and make a better world. That's what jihad is all about. Jihad is the struggle to make conditions better so life can grow. We understand the value of jihad. Jihad, that means that you put yourself into the process of working to make conditions better so that you can grow economically, so you can grow politically, so you can grow morally, so you can grow culturally. You work to make those conditions better so that life can grow. That's why if you look at, in the Quran, Allah talks about the growth of the human being. He gives the picture of the seed or the plant. And when he gives the picture of the seed of the plant, the only way that seed can grow into what it has the ability of becoming is the conditions have to be right. If the conditions are not right, then that plant doesn't grow into what it can become, because those conditions do not feed the plant what the seed needs to grow and evolve. So jihad is about making life better by putting yourself into the process. That's why we said that the jihad, fi sabilillah, struggle in the path of Allah. See, because some people are struggling in other areas. So the question becomes, what is your jihad? See, what is your struggle? Is your struggle economics? Is your struggle social? Is your struggle financial? What is your jihad? Is your jihad in the medical world? What is your struggle to make life better? Because Allah clearly tells us, and work you in your place, that you have to find your place and go to work. So the question is, what is your jihad? What is your struggle? How do you engage yourself in the process of living to make life better? We said Allah says here in the Quran, whoever does good, whether male or female, and is a believer, we shall certainly make him live a happy life. And we shall certainly give them the reward for the best of what they did. So when you recite the Quran, seek Allah's refuge from the accursed enemy. After Allah says He wants you to have the good life, He says you must be aware of the workings of the devil. Because Shaitan's whole mission is for you not to have a happy life. The mission of Shaitan is for you to live a distrustful, weak, fragile, untrustworthy life. A life of fear, a life of depression, a life of poverty. Because when you live in fear, you ain't doing nothing. Because fear locks you up. That's why He says from the very beginning, and whoever is a believer. If you got fear, that fear locks you up. That's why from the very premise we say that we believe in Allah. In fact, Allah Himself is Al-Mu'min. He is the believer. And I said to myself many, many years ago when I read that attribute, I said, Allah is the believer. He believes in His creation. You understand what that means? He created you and He believes in what He gave you. And then as a result, as a conscious being, as an aware being, you believe in Him. And you trust that He is the one that is guiding your life. That He created you and He gave you a destiny. And He gave you a destiny, you're going to go through some things. And all those things may not be pleasant, but the question is, what is Allah teaching me? Let me read this hadith of Muhammad the Prophet. And this is about the believer. The believer is one who trusts and the one who gave him his life. When we submit our will and render our will to Allah, we say that we trust that Allah is the one who has given us what we need. And even in the things we don't understand, He's given us what we need. We believe in Him. Amen to billahi. We believe, we trust in Allah. He's the creator, and He's going to give you the circumstance, He's going to give you the condition, He's going to give you the reality that's going to take you where you need to be intellectually, where you need to be spiritually, where you need to be morally. So Muhammad the Prophet says this. He says, the affair of the believer is amazing. The whole of his life is beneficial. And that is only in the case of the believer. When good times come to him, he is thankful. And that is good for him. And when bad times befall him, he is patient, and that also is good for him. Here's the life of the believer. See, the life of the believer, he or she understands, I have no control. The believer releases control. I have no control over my life. I have no control over what happens in my life. And when you try to have control, you're going to stress yourself out. And the stress that you bring on is going to create bad situations for your life. Stress will wipe you out. And when you have this stress, you have low energy, and you're going to begin to attract those bad things into your life. This is why it said the believer life is amazing, because the believer give up control and trust that Allah is controlling and regulating his life. I ain't got no control. That's what gives him or her the freedom. That's what we say, we give our life. We turn our will over to the will of Allah. When you look at all this creation, all that's going on in the world, natural catastrophe, you can't control that. You will wipe yourself out. And that is why the life of the believer is so amazing. Because they understand they have no control. They trust a higher authority over their lives. Understanding that the authority says he gave them a beginning and a destiny. He said he created everything and gave it a starting point. And here's the qadr, here's the destiny, here's the point of return. And through those two processes, those 2 points of the creation and the ending of that creation, things will happen. But for the believer who has an amazing life, they perceive that there's something even to take from those things that they see to be bad. In good times, they're thankful. Now here's a verse in the Quran where Allah talks about gratitude. He says that, and if you are grateful, I will give you more. That's a good position to be in. Allah said if you want more in your life, because the hadith says that when the good comes into your life, you should be thankful. And then when you are thankful, here's what Allah says. He says, and if you are grateful, I will give you more. That through gratitude, Allah is going to release more of his blessings into your life. Why should you do otherwise? Because you know that those who don't treat you well, and you constantly give to them, over time you stop. Because the response of ingratitude doesn't bring out the best of you. So Allah says if you are grateful, I will give you more. So if you want more in your life, start showing more gratitude. And then what flows into your life, you don't know what it may be, but Allah surely says, I will give you more if you're grateful. So the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that the believer, the affairs of the believer is amazing. The whole of his life is beneficial. Even what you perceive to be bad, you draw from it. What is Allah teaching me through this experience? He said the whole life of the believer is beneficial. Now some people can't see benefit in bad. They become overwhelmed, they lose control, they get wiped out because their perception is they're trying to control. But the hadith says that when the bad comes, they're patient. And they're going to say, what is Allah sharing with me? What is Allah teaching me through this experience that doesn't seem to be that good? Because Allah says that he created you for challenges. He created you, in fact, he says, in your living, he gonna try. Some won't graduate. Some will get stuck. Because they don't realize that he's the controller. You lose your job, people get wiped out, lose their job, can't function, lost their job. Their faith was in the job. You lose your job, you find another job. You lose your job, you create a situation where you can earn a living. You have to realize that he said the affairs of the believer is amazing. He has something that allows him to structure herself. Faith. That's all I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about faith. And there's another verse where it says that the best of creatures are those who believe and do good. What is better than the believer? This is what Allah said. The best of creatures is those who not only believe, they believe, but then their belief moves them to work for the growth of the world. They believe that now I'm responsible for finding my place and going to work. That's what the verse says, and work you in your place. That's why I asked you the question, what is your jihad? What is your struggle? What role you play in working to improve the world? So the best of creatures, those who trust Allah, and in trusting Allah, they feel responsible, that their faith is inspiring them to work for the renovation and elevation of man. Because you'll never find a verse in the Quran where belief is by itself. Belief is always connected to some activity. Then Allah says, "Qad aflaha mu'minun," and the believers will prosper. And the only way they're going to prosper, they have to go to work. Because that word for prosperity is the same word that's used when you hear that adhan call and it says, hayya ala al-falah. You have to cultivate what Allah gave you. So when you prosper, you go to work to bring out what's inside of you. And then you go into the world just like the farmer who prepares the soil to receive the seed. That's why I said jihad is about allowing yourself to go forth to improve conditions so that life can grow. What is your jihad? And once we find what we're going to work at, we can give the good news. Because there's so much depression in the world. There's so much fear in the world. There's so much pain in the world. Because people are not being fed the good news. And because they're not being fed the good news, they become insensitive. They become cold. And life doesn't grow in cold environments. Life grows in warmth. Life grows where there's sunlight. Life grows where there's rain. Where the life can be stimulated. So what is your jihad? And when we find our jihad, we can then go to work to create better conditions where life can grow. So once again, the hadith said the affair of the believer is amazing. The whole of his life is beneficial. I don't care what you're going through. You can draw some benefit from it. And it is all about how you look at your life. That's why man is not only called a thinking being, but he's a creature of perception. He looks at things. And when you look at something, the same reality, and someone look at the same reality, they can draw two different things. It's all about perception. So he said that the whole of his life is beneficial, and that is only in the case of the believer. When good times come to him, he is thankful, and it is good for him. And when bad times befall him, he is patient. Hold on. That's the power of patience. Hold on. Don't give up. No matter how tough the times may be, don't give up and don't give in. Allah is teaching you if you pay attention. That's why he said, now when the bad come, be patient. And in that patience, there's some good for you. And many people miss the lesson. They don't have the patience. They give up, they move on. They throw in the towel. But it says, here is the case for the believer. That's all I want to talk to you about today, just to believe. This is so important. This was going to allow us to navigate through the world. If you look at anything that is taking place in the world, the progress human beings have made all over the world, it wasn't because of doubt, it wasn't because of fear, it wasn't because of insecurity, it was because of belief in those things that others saw as being unimaginable. Not even seeing man being able to accomplish that feat, but it was their faith that said it's possible. They would tell you, be for real. Why don't you be realistic? So that's doubt. You know, why don't you be for real? Those are the people who are sowing doubt, fear, insecurities. And if you look at Muhammad the Prophet, peace be upon him, they couldn't see how they can handle opposition. And Allah himself said, how many times have he allowed a small band to beat a big band? They couldn't see it. How are we going to deal with this army? The numbers are way beyond our capacity to handle. But belief in God, he said, he'll make a way for you where you thought there can never be a way. Now, why would Allah tell us to follow Muhammad the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and do big things if it wasn't possible? That would be unjust and wouldn't be fair. That Muhammad the Prophet went into a world, into an environment, and was able to transform it, not with his own will, but faith in the Word of God. When you look at the conditions that the Prophet was under, and how they was able to transform perception, had to change the way a man looked at a woman, had to change that. Man would take his little baby girl and put her in the dirt. He had perceived his baby girl to be worthless. That's why the Quran said, and for what crime was she killed? He had to work to change perception, that you honor and lift up the woman. Understand that her role is noble. There's no inferiority. That's why the verse says, and whoever does good, whether male or female, and is a believer, had to change the perception of how man looked at a woman. Had no respect for her. Bury alive. An inferior being. That's what America had to struggle with, and still has to struggle with. Equal rights for women. Women don't get paid as much as men. All she has to break the glass ceiling, all the limitations. Because the perception is not a human being, but a female. So Muhammad the Prophet went to work to change the perception. Work on the way man, work on the way the human being looks at another human being. So Allah tells us, that he created a human being from one soul. We understand the power of this one soul. That has nothing to do with male or female. I had one soul. And from that one soul come all these multiplicity of human beings. Changing the perception are changing the way the human being looks at things. That's why knowledge, insan, is about this thinking being, this perception being, who looks at things for what it really is. So Allah teaches us that we gotta have faith, that we can make life better. That's the only way it's gonna happen. If you look at the accomplishments of man, it has been because of his faith. If you want to do big things in your life, you have big faith. That's why one verse of the Quran where Allah says that you may add faith to your faith. Some people have weak faith. And their weak faith does not allow them to go out there and really deal with the challenges of the world. The people who have big faith, they tackle big challenges. I hope you understand what I'm saying. The people of big faith, they do big things. That's why the Bible says, oh, you of little faith. See, little faith produces little things. If we want to do some big things, we have to add faith to our faith. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَإِنْ كَانَ عَذَابٌ. Assalamu alaikum. So the verse in Quran, Allah says, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, and the believers will prosper. The believers will succeed. The only way they're going to do that, they have to go to work. They have to apply themselves. Look around the society, the economy has gotten better. I remember a time when the economy was booming, thriving, and everybody wanted to come to America for great opportunities. That's why many of you are here. Many of you came to America because what America offered to the world. America offered to the world the opportunity to compete. That's why they give you all the stories of those who came to America with nothing but faith that they can have a better life. They had some belief that if I come here and go to work, I can have a better life. They came here, some had little, some had a lot. And they saw an opportunity to go to work to make their lives better. And that is the key. If we go to work, we can make our lives better. We go to work, we can do things that will take care of society, making a contribution to society. What is your jihad? That is the question. So you believe, and then what is your struggle? Because a person who doesn't believe, they ain't going to get in the process of struggle. They're going to wait. That's why there's so much dependency in America and the world. There's so many people waiting for Social Security. I'm talking about young people. I'm not talking about old. I'm not talking about senior citizens waiting for what they put in. I'm talking about young people who are just waiting for society to take care because they have little faith and they ain't ready to struggle. So the level of your struggle is based upon the level of your faith. If you got big faith, you're going to go out there and make it happen. Because your faith says that you should take care of yourself. There is no dignity in dependency. That's why Muhammad the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, no descendant of Adam can enjoy a better meal than the one he earned with his own hands. There's no greater sense of satisfaction of enjoying a meal than anything else other than what you did for yourself. There's overly dependency in America. Welfare. The wise man now, like Mama said, you turn welfare around, you have farewell. Farewell to your dignity as a human being. If you're waiting for others to do for you that which you can do for yourself. What is your jihad? What is your struggle? So when Allah created you and gave you everything that you have, He gave you all those resources, skills, and faculties to go to work. Because in going to work, you're going to discover who you are. The person that does not engage in struggle will never discover their true worth and value as a human being. Your true worth and value as a human being is how you apply yourself. And when you don't apply yourself, you'll never learn about yourself. So the question again is, what is your jihad? How are you applying yourself to work to make conditions better so that life can grow? Overly dependent. It disturbs me, and I understand the role of giving. I understand the principle of charity and what it does for people and how important it is. Not only for the person, but how important it is for your own soul. But there's too much begging in America. There's too much inactivity of waiting for other people to give to somebody else. I mean, it disturbs me sometimes. Overly dependence. But we have to give. We're taught to give because we understand the value of giving. We give not for a lifetime, but give to just help you through. That's why you've heard the little saying about if you give a man a fish, you feed him for today. But if you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And that's what most people have to get involved in. You have to learn something that will allow you to better your position, to better your condition, to make your life better. Learn some skills. Learn some abilities. Learn how to communicate well so you can learn how to sell yourself and sell your product and resources. If you give a man, you give a woman, you create dependency. But if you teach, you inspire and empower them to do for themselves. And then you begin to feed their dignity as a human being, where their self-worth goes up. I feel like somebody, I feel like a contributor to life. Because I've learned a skill, and that skill qualifies me to go to work for myself, for my family, and make contribution to my community. So that my community is in a position to be strong enough to do its work. See, when we give to the masjid, we give to the masjid with the awareness that the masjid is now in a position to be strong enough to do the work it has to do. The masjid has to be perceived more than just a place that you come and bow down. It has to be perceived as a place that works to cater to the pain, to the needs of those who are in pain, to those who are in lack. That's why I said before, people come to the masjid just like they go to the hospital. They go to the hospital because they're in pain. They got pain. They need help. They need assistance. They need attention. They need to be cared for. They need to be loved. They need to be given a certain amount of attention, special treatment. So when we give to the masjid, we're doing just like they do to the hospital. I go to the hospital and I look up and I see that there's all kind of donations that have been made by wealthy people. Those wealthy people have plaques on the wall of the hospital saying they've contributed to this hospital so that this hospital can cater to the pain, to the hurt, to the ache, to the concerns of those who need attention. That's how you have to see yourself when you come to the masjid. That you perceive the masjid as a place that's going to cater to the pain, to the psychological pain, to the emotional pain, to the spiritual pain, and yes, even the physical pain, the financial pain of all those who are in this Musaf. That's how you perceive the masjid. You don't perceive the masjid as a place that you just come and bow your head. You see the masjid as a place that is designed to build up human beings. So Allah says that the believers maintain the masjid. The masjid is not dependent upon government funds and institutions. The masjid is dependent upon the effort of those who occupy this space. If you occupy this space, then you should feel obligated and feel that it is a responsibility that you contribute so the masjid is not dependent on any force so they be locked up. The masjid has to be free. So Allah says that the believers maintain the masjid because the believers have the interest of the Masjid Al Hadi, so the masjid can be free to serve the needs of those who need to be served. But it all begins with concern. If you don't have that kind of sensitivity, if you don't have that kind of concern, it won't work. The masjid will continue to operate from a position of always, in some way, asking, can you give the help? You know the verse in the Quran where Isa said, and who will be my helpers? Who will be the answer? Who will be my helpers? That's what we need more than anything else. We need helpers. You got the believer, but the believer has to see himself as one who is working, giving a contribution to make sure that the masjid is strong enough to do its job. It's not always operating from a gimme. You see, here's a place that is designed and structured by Allah to serve human beings. Don't just see the masjid as the place you come and bow your head. See the masjid as a living entity that's serving the needs of human beings. That's serving the needs of other human beings who need support, who need stimulation, who need inspiration, so they can move from where they don't want to be to where they want to be. So Allah clearly tells us in the Quran that when you give in His cause, He's going to multiply your giving. That's why I give it a picture again about the corn. When you plant the seed, when you plant that one seed, what comes from it? How many ears of corn come from that one planting of that seed? He said He will multiply what you give. And you got to believe that. So anytime you have an opportunity to give, give. Without someone asking you to give. Because you understand the role of the masjid. It is designed to work for the renovation and elevation. They come to the masjid just like they go to the church. Don't you know you got people on this floor right now in pain, emotional pain, psychological pain, physical pain, financial pain? They come to the masjid for help. And as conscious beings, we have to be ready to serve them. That's why you call Abdullah. That's why you call Ansar. You call the servant and you call the helper. You are in a position, and you see that position as a responsibility to cater to their pain. And when you cater to their pain, you help them to get strong, then they can touch somebody else and help them to get stronger. That's how the community life grows. But it all begins with concern. Imam Muhammad said that life begins with a concern. And the life and death of a people is seen in their concern. You want to see life? Look at how much concern people have for each other. And when you see that the concern is not there, you will witness death amongst those people. Life begins with concern. And the life and death of a people is seen in how much concern they have for each other. So when you come here, put it in your heart for sadaqah. You know what sadaqah is? Sadaqah is quite different from zakat. Zakat helps you. Zakat means to grow, to purify, right? In the Quran, zakat is connected to your soul. And he succeeds who purifies his soul. Because aflaha min zakat. He's successful who purifies his soul. So when you give, you rid yourself of miserliness. You rid yourself of greed. You rid yourself of selfishness. You feel for another human being. But sadaqah is, you're coming from your heart. It's not an obligation. But you feel for that situation. You feel for that human being. My heart says Sadiq. Here's the sensitivity. My heart tells me to give for this function. Give $100, give $20, give $30, give $40. My heart tells me to do that. And when you follow the natural impulses of your heart, that's sadaqah. Sadaqah is following the natural impulses of your heart. See, because your heart tells you, it gives you the urge that I should give for this process. So it can be used to serve the needs of those we talked about. Those who are in emotional, psychological, physical pain. And then that does just what the verse says. We're going to conclude on this. The verse says, if I can find the verse. Remember the verse we said that Allah says that He will cause you to live a happy life. When you give, your giving is designed to create better conditions so we can live a happy life. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وإن كان عذاب السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala falah, Qad qamatis salah, qamatis salah, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah.
Start with a scribe, change it for